Live, it's the Revved Up 906 podcast, a Detroit Pistons podcast to be exact. And I'm Hudson.
And I'm Ryan.
And we are here in Detroit, Michigan, and we are recapping tonight's matchup of the Charlotte Hornets versus the Detroit Pistons. That final score was 112 to Pistons 118. So the Pistons take down the Hornets per se. What are your first thoughts for this recap, Ryan?
I'm going to go more on the negative side of things and say that 22 turnovers is awful. And the fact that Charlotte had 16 steals, that is not good.
Yeah. Yeah. And something that I was, we came out hot, right? The Pistons went 15 points to the Hornets 5 within the first 2.5 minutes. So we saw the Pistons kind of start out that first quarter really hot, which is really good to see, because I've said in the past that I believe the Detroit Pistons, their games are determined within the first quarter, but really the first 6 minutes of a game. So I think when the Pistons start out hot, they're only setting themselves up more for a win.
Yeah. And Bojan, it wasn't like anything spectacular tonight. He's definitely been on a slump recently. But when you have Ivy dropping 24 and having 7 assists and 3 rebounds with a block, he only had 1 turnover there. The 1 turnover, which is actually really good because he typically turns the ball over a lot.
Yeah.
But he still had 3 fouls, which we got to limit that still.
Yeah. We saw Saddiq Bey hit his 200th three, or 348th three in 200 games.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that, maybe 378.
Yeah.
But we saw him break the record, so that was great to see. I think the closest person behind him
is Chauncey.
Was Chauncey with like 278. So he beat him out by 100. So that's great to see. That's another reason why we shouldn't be seeing Saddiq get traded before the trade deadline,
especially to the Knicks. We don't want that.
Yeah, we saw Isaiah Stewart have a solid game off. He had 8 points, 16 rebounds, 3 for 12 shooting. So not the most efficient game from him, but he showed that he can make an impact while rebounding the ball.
Yeah. He also had the 6 assists and a steal too, which is good. And he only had a foul, and that's it. Because typically he fouls a lot.
Yeah.
And there was a point in time in the game when it seemed like nothing was going right for him. It was either he was bricking a shot, he was holding the ball too long, he was turning the ball over, but he actually didn't turn the ball over as much as we thought he did.
Right.
But I'll take 16 rebounds and 6 assists and a steal.
Yeah.
And even if he just has 8 points, he's still helping out defensively, which is what we need.
Right.
But another key contributor tonight, Alec Burks, 16 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists.
Yeah.
That's a good game.
Yep. We see that he shot 2 for 7 from the 3-point line. So it was really nice to see that, okay, my 3-point shot's not falling, but I'm going to make an impact by getting inside the arc, maybe getting a little bit more passing than he typically would. He had 2 assists. So we saw him kind of show his versatility and not him rely on the 3-point line. That's really nice to see him be able to get 16 points with only not shooting great from the 3-point line. Mason Plumlee, we can kind of thank the old Detroit Piston, now Charlotte Hornet. We can kind of thank him for missing a bunch of free throws. I'm not sure what his final total was from the free throw line, but he missed at least 4 in the second half. So that really turned out huge because he went to the line about 6 times in a row, not consecutive possessions, but 7 times in a row for the Hornets. And we saw him not really get it done. And I think in the end, when it's a close final score, like 112 to 118, you can kind of thank him for missing those free throws, because if he would have made those, I think that final score might look a little bit different.
Yeah. And we shut him down on the glass, which is very good because he typically has like 13 rebounds.
Yeah.
And tonight he only had like 5, which is very good. So credit to Duren. Because Duren tonight had 13 points, 13 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and a block. A very nasty block on Mason Plumlee.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was pretty sick. The crowd went wild for that one. We saw LaMelo Ball shoot 7 of 23 from the just overall. And then we saw him shoot 4 from 13 from 3. He did finish with 23 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists. So, he kind of affected the game in other ways than scoring, but he really never had a streak of getting hot.
Yeah.
He kind of just did that all, a little bit etched forward in all 4 quarters. We didn't see him go on a run. I don't know if he's considered a superstar, but for a lot of superstars that the Pistons play against, we see them go on big hot streaks throughout games, and we didn't let LaMelo Ball do that.
Yeah, we definitely limited him to that tonight, which I loved, but we still let Terry Rozier have like 23 points too.
Yeah.
And we can't have that happen.
No.
We can't shut down the guy and then give Robin all these points.
Right.
We just can't do that if we're going to win. And we are lucky tonight, given how many turnovers we had and how many steals they had. Because Terry Rozier in the beginning of the game, he was hitting shot after shot after shot. And it was not like an easy layup. It was like, how did that go in?
Right.
And so the fact that he was able to do all of that in the first half, finishes the game with 23 points, and we still win alongside of LaMelo's 23. Credit to the team.
Yeah.
Sadiq definitely hit that game-winning shot.
Yep.
But it also helps that Ivy was just calm tonight.
Yeah. He seemed, well, except on a couple bad calls.
Yeah.
During the actual game, he seemed calm. His presence was there. He seemed top of mind, that he was engaged.
Yeah.
Somebody that we saw that wasn't really engaged was Killian Hayes, unfortunately. 2 for 6 from the field, 4 points. Had 1 steal, 5 assists. So he was kind of getting involved, but really offensively, as far as shooting, seemed pretty out of it. He never really got anything together. He had a couple garbage points here and there that seemed like the Hornets just kind of gave him. They weren't really respecting him, so he took advantage. But so I'm not necessarily worried about his play, but it would be nice to see him a little bit more integrated into the game, and kind of make himself valuable to the Pistons in a game. And we just didn't really see that.
Yeah, honestly, same with Livers tonight. Livers he was out of it. It was not his normal self. Because, he'll have 3 points on occasion where it's still a good game for him. But he had 3 points, 2 rebounds, a steal, a block. He only made 1 shot. It was 1-3. And he played 14 minutes, but he had 5 turnovers. That is too many turnovers.
Yeah.
I mean, Durant also had 5. Bojan had 4. Ivy had 1. Burks had 1. Bay had 1. Killian had 3. Hami had 2. The only person that did not turn the ball over is typically the guy who turns the ball over a lot, and that is Isaiah Stewart.
Right.
So, but we got lucky tonight, really.
And shout out to the Pistons too for being able to kind of control Gordon Hayward. Only had 12 points, 5 for 6 from the field. We kind of saw him kind of not really get involved, and I think that's a credit to the Pistons defense.
And honestly, same with PJ Washington.
Yeah.
Because PJ Washington is typically a great role player, and at least what did he finish with tonight?
PJ, 7 points.
Yeah, that's good holding him to 7, because he's normally finishing with at least 16 points. So the fact that we limited him to 7 points only for tonight's game was huge, because he's typically a guy that you got to watch out for sometimes.
Oh, for sure.
So, but overall, offensively, we had a great game. We shot the ball great. We were hitting our shots. Defensively, we need to work on that, because we can't turn the ball over 22 times. Yes, that's not defense, but that's leading the Hornets to getting 16 steals and getting wide open shots and keeping this game close.
Yeah. I noticed too, the Pistons these last couple weeks have been just struggling with fouls.
Yeah.
We saw the Pistons finish with 27 fouls, which is just too much. We saw Bojan have 4, Jalen Duren have 4, Jaden Ivey with 3, Sadiq Bey with 4. We don't want to be in foul trouble, and I think we can credit Charlotte being so close in this game because of fouls and turnovers. Yep. So the Pistons are proving that they still need to focus on those little things. And I think once they get those little things figured out, Jaden Ivey doesn't have so many of those silly fouls that he just kind of knocks into guys. We saw him bump into the chest of Mason Plumlee in the paint. We're just like, Ivey, calm down, get your composure as far as falling for these fakes. Hopefully when he gets one season in the belt, we can see him come out in his sophomore season and not have so many of those silly fouls.
Yeah, and a lot of our players jumped tonight. We got hit with the fake too many times. Like Stewart, why are you jumping for Mason Plumlee?
Yeah.
You don't have to jump for him. You could easily block his shot any day of the week.
Yeah.
He's not going to do much. And then there were also possessions where we were crowding the paint, not letting Mason Plumlee shoot. What happens then? All of our players are in the paint. All of the Hornets players are outside waiting for the ball to get kicked out for a shot. We got lucky enough tonight where that didn't really happen.
Yeah.
But we need to stay on our guy. We can't just crowd the paint and expect something to work. Yeah, you get the ball every once in a while because it's kind of hard passing out of 5 guys.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say it gets kicked out to LaMelo. Somebody's going to rush out there. LaMelo's oftentimes going to kick it out again.
Right.
So it's probably going to go to Terry Rozier. Terry Rozier hits shots. He's going to hit that shot.
Yeah, absolutely. Something that I thought was interesting about the Charlotte Hornets game plan was doubling Killian.
Yeah.
So I think that's definitely something that has to be mentioned because Killian really does struggle when getting double teamed. And we didn't really see the Pistons help him out, the 4 other guys on the court. So I think that's something that we might need to be kind of having a lookout for is Killian getting double teamed because it seemed like it was a very good game plan for the Charlotte Hornets. I wouldn't have suspected that a team would target Killian the way they did, but they did all game. And it started from when he checked in middle of the first quarter to when he checked out in the middle of the fourth. And that was kind of interesting to see because he's not typically a guy. Typically, you're double teaming the hot hand, and you didn't really see that.
I will say, though, they really kept Killian out of the game, which led to this game being as close as it was. Because let's say that Killian had his normal, at least 12 points. That would have guaranteed us the win already.
Yep.
So the fact that they limited him to just 4 points and only had 2 makes the entire night, 6 shots, had 1 3 and missed it.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's limiting a guy. You can tell he was double teamed. If you watch the game, they were double teaming him all game long. And that's why you can understand why he only has 4 points.
Yeah. Well, tonight we saw a tough fight win for the Detroit Pistons. Who would you give the X factor of the game to for the Pistons?
That's tough because there's so many different players you could go with tonight.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with my guy, Saddiq Bey.
Okay.
He hit the shot when it mattered the most.
Right. And with about 35 seconds left, something like that, hit that corner 3. The crowd went wild for that one, So I do think that Saddiq Bey kind of has to give that nod because we saw him find a little bit of rhythm when we needed him to find that rhythm. And coming off the bench, we know that coming off the bench can kind of take away some confidence, but we don't see that with Saddiq. We see him come out immediately right off the bench and make an impact. So as being a Saddiq fan, it hurts seeing him come off the bench because you just want him to be that franchise guy, but he's showing that he can play that role and be successful at it. And when he does fit in that role, comes in with an understanding that I'm going to come out hot, we see a Pistons win tonight.
Yeah, but also shout out to Ivy. Ivy had a great game.
Yeah.
He did not miss a free throw. And he did not miss a 3. He was 4 for 4 from 3, which is really good for him. Yeah. And then he had the 7 assists with the 24 points.
Mm-hmm.
He led the team in scoring. But if Bey didn't hit that shot, I would have given the X factor to Ivy.
Right. We see in the second quarter, the Pistons scored 40 points. Charlotte did score 38, but we see that the Pistons kind of came out in that third quarter and only scored 23 to Charlotte's 26. So it proved that we needed that big second quarter. And if we didn't have that big second quarter, say we had another 23-point quarter, this game would be looking a lot different. So I think when people look at the box score after a game, whether it's a win or loss, I think it's important to look at the quarter to point totals because you can kind of determine where your team is best at in terms of game time. And we saw the Pistons score 29 points in the first quarter and to the Charlotte's 30. If we don't see them reaching 29 in the first quarter, you're going to get outscored most
Yeah.
quarters if you don't reach that.
Yeah, and then we limited Charlotte to just 18 points in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
Like that's good.
that's big.
Normally we're allowing teams to go at least 25 points in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And the fact that we limited them to just 18, that definitely helped us get the win tonight.
Yeah, and you see us win by 6 and say we did let them to get 25, we are just scraping by. So it really was nice to see a solid defense, but we want to find a balance between fouling and being aggressive defensively. And I think that's kind of the growing pains of this young team. I think the Pistons will find that out eventually. I just don't think we're quite there yet.
Yeah. And as long as we keep limiting fouls, we are good. Duran definitely needs to foul less. He needs to be more patient.
Yeah.
Bojan, you've been fouling way too much recently. You need to stop.
Yeah.
Killian 3 fouls, but that's his normal kind of take,
Right.
Because he's more of a defensive kind of player.
Mhm.
So he's obviously going to try and steal the ball every single time.
Right.
Hami with the 2 fouls, that's better than what he normally gets, because normally he's fouling out, or normally he's at least at 4 or 5 fouls at
Right.
the end of the game.
Right.
So I'm taking 2, but yes, we need to stop fouling.
Before we wrap up today's recap, Ryan, any last thoughts?
Stop turning the ball over.
Right. Yeah. The turnovers is a big issue
Yeah.
for us. Hopefully we can kind of see us come out against the Suns and kind of not reach 22 or whatever it was.
Yeah, or not letting the Suns get 16 steals.
Right. Well, something I did want to note before we wrap up today's recap was we didn't get to look at Kevin Knox at all by coach's decision. So we saw him have another game without any minutes, no looks from Kevin. So that's kind of unfortunate, but it also was a close game the whole time. So there wasn't any really garbage minutes to be given. Typically on a night where we're either getting blown out or on the odd chance we're blowing somebody out, Kevin Knox would probably get around 10, 15 minutes. But with a neck and neck game like this, we just didn't see that happen. So before I wrap up today's recap, I want to give a quick shout out to Grind Clothing Co. We have a merch drop coming out, our second merch drop, where you can get these sweatshirts and this hat. And so that will be coming out in the next coming weeks. But you can also check out our first merch drop in the link in the description and in the link in our YouTube bio. And also make sure to follow us on Instagram. We just posted a bunch of clips of Sadiq Bey, Isaiah Stewart, Isaiah Livers, Jaden Ivey, all those guys warming up from today's game. So go check out those clips. And then we also got the Sadiq pretty much game clinching 3-point shot. We got that on our Instagram too. So make sure to go follow us and share our page and spread the word to the Detroit Pistons community about Revved Up 906. To repeat tonight's final score, 112 the Charlotte Hornets and the 118 the Detroit Pistons. We will see you guys in the next Revved Up recap.